Now, there's lots more going on, and let's find out what that is with host of OutKick's Tomi Lahren is fearless. Tomi Lahren, thank you so much for joining us on the U.S. Report this week. Big stuff out of Washington, where I saw all of this crazy footage of hundreds of anti-Israel protesters swarming the Capitol building, demanding a ceasefire in the Israel-Hamas war. Have a look at this. Now, Tomi, I didn't see anybody there in a big Viking helmet, but that looked a little almost insurrection-y. What did you make of it?
Yeah, insurrection-y is actually the exact word that I would use. I'm not sure if it is a word, but we should make it one. Yeah, you know, the left still talks about January 6th. They drum on and on about January 6th. But whether it's transgender students storming state capitals or whether you have pro-Hamas, anti-Israel demonstrators storming the Capitol building, again, it's the double standard that's so infuriating. And then also when you see a sitting Congresswoman, Rashida Tlaib, out there repeating a lie about Israel bombing a hospital, a lie that was disproven before she went out there, it just goes to show that anti-Semitism runs deep in this country. It runs deep in the world. And unfortunately, it seems to also run deeply in our United States Congress, something I never thought I would have to say, but we need to confront that reality. And these protesters that are out there that think that they're protesting for a ceasefire or for the Palestinian people, I think a lot of them are confused. I think a lot of them don't understand the conflict that's actually at play. So I hope that they are simply confused and not evil, but the jury is still out on that one.
Well, Tomi, it strikes me it's pretty extraordinary that so many people were so quick to believe the propaganda from Hamas, a terrorist organization, that it was an Israeli missile that hit that hospital. It didn't even hit the hospital, and it wasn't an Israeli missile. And yet they're acting like Hamas are the victim. And I'm not hearing any of the protesters saying, hey, Hamas, release those 203 hostages either, am I?
Well, why should they release the hostages when we have our United States President Joe Biden already offering $100 million in humanitarian relief for Gaza and the people of Palestine? They have no reason to release those hostages. And Hamas runs a wonderful propaganda campaign. I will give them that. They are able to rip at the hearts and the minds of impressionable Americans and impressionable people around the world, that they are able to use the plight of the Palestinian people to advance their cause of terror. And that's something to me that's so deeply rooted in the world. It's really unfortunate that it's gotten this bad, but I don't see it changing anytime soon. And I think the demonstrations around the world in favor of Hamas, a terror organization, just echoes that really sad point.
And I mean, Tomi, when people call for a ceasefire, what they're really saying here is, hey, Hamas, you're allowed to go and attack Jews and attack Israel and attack the West with impunity. But as soon as you're done, we'll call for a halt to things so that you don't get in trouble.
You can't call a ceasefire with a terrorist organization.
Thank you.
You know, I am not a foreign policy expert, nor am I an international diplomat, but you cannot call a ceasefire with a terror organization because they do not operate within that international norm. They are not a civilized state. They are not a civilized nation. They are not an ally. They are an enemy that is a terrorist enemy. So you can't have a ceasefire, and anybody that's pushing for a ceasefire is exactly what you said. They're actually pushing for Israel's inability to defend and protect itself. And we all know that as soon as Israel stops defending itself and stops fighting back, that they are at risk once again. These terrorist organizations will not stop until they rid the earth of Jews and Israelis. They have made that clear. Why we don't believe them is really peculiar to me.